Not gonna lie, I feel maybe a little overdressed. Hello my precious everyone, welcome back to Wow Mel. Today I'm bringing you another how to cosplay video. I left these books back here so it looks like I live in this house. Really quick, I'm sorry if you hear construction-y sounds. It's the bane of every YouTuber's existence when as soon as you start filming, everything makes a lot of noise, so we're gonna ignore that. I already made a how to cosplay video in the past, but that one was like a bite-sized one for people who want the basics without a big time commitment. In this video, I will be adding more steps, breaking down the steps more, and providing examples and talking about my own experiences. But if you would rather watch the shorter version, it will be linked up in the cards and in the description. I also do have to make a quick disclaimer. I am not a professional cosplayer by any means, but I do run a cosplay Instagram account that you can check out at wow__mel. I haven't even been cosplaying for a super long time. We're just coming up on the 1-year mark, but I think being a semi-new cosplayer is actually a benefit here because I can show you actual approachable beginner-friendly ways because I am also sort of a beginner, and that way we can all learn a little bit together. I will be breaking down each of the steps on how to cosplay, but first of all, I will let you know what they are. Step 1 is to research. No, it's not. Step 1 is to pick a character. Step 2 is to research. Step 3 is to pick a method of cosplaying. Step 4 is to figure out your components. Step 5 is to find your components. Step 6 is to get into your cosplay, and step 7 is to show it off. Step 1, pick a character. Of course, the first step has to be to pick a character. You can cosplay pretty much anyone you like, from someone from a movie, a show, a video game, anime, manga, book. Did I already say book? Maybe, I don't know. And your own character. If this is one of your first cosplays, I encourage you to pick a character with a somewhat simple design. That way it won't be difficult to make or track down all the pieces. And getting into cosplay already can seem a little overwhelming and intimidating, so it's best not to have a design that's too tricky to start off with. I first heard this tip from Anya Panda, and that is if you want a simple cosplay to start with, you should pick a cosplay that has 5 or fewer pieces, not counting a wig. Obviously, a complex armor set wouldn't fit in these parameters, but a lot of cartoon characters actually do. Characters from The Owl House, Gravity Falls, or Star vs. the Forces of Evil are all very good picks. A lot of like North American cartoons are pretty good. For example, if you pick Star Butterfly, not counting her wig, she has her dress, tights, shoes, horns, and wand, and the wand is more of a prop than an essential piece. For my first cosplay, I did my Dungeons & Dragons character Sylvestis. She had her shirt, skirt, corset, cloak, and circlet as her major pieces. It was very manageable for me to put together. On that note, I would also like to recommend picking an OC as your starting cosplay. This is by no means necessary, but if you're taking the plunge into cosplay, it's a lot easier to do it and stay motivated if you're working on someone you really love, and a lot of the intense passion comes from characters of your own creation. Another benefit of that is that no one knows what your OC is supposed to look like, so it can take off some of the burden of accuracy and finding all the pieces to make this super perfect, accurate canon cosplay, and it just allows you to have a lot more creative freedom. Although, I do want to point out briefly that even if you are cosplaying an official canon character, you can do your own spin on it. You don't need it to be super accurate. You can do whatever you like. Your cosplays don't have to be accurate or canon for them to be valid. But I dare say the most important part about cosplay is picking someone that you're passionate about. Putting together a cosplay can take a lot of time, energy, and money. So it's important to pick someone you really care about so you stay motivated through the whole process. Step number 2 is to research. Researching your character is a bit of a bonus step, but it can pay off a lot later, so if you have the extra time, I highly recommend that you do it. Part of research involves learning about the character's personality and catchphrases, so if you go to a con or a photo shoot, you know how to better portray them. It's also helpful to collect lots of reference photos at this stage, so you know how you want each piece to look ideally, and you can stay on track and compare and contrast as you start putting together your cosplay. Having reference photos will also also help you come up with poses if you're doing a photo shoot or going to a con, because a lot of character art features the character in classic poses that you'll find them in. So if you save the photos and art of your character, you can recreate them later on when it comes to a photo shoot or a con. And if you strike a pose that the character is found in a lot, it will feel very distinctly them, and the whole thing will feel a lot more authentic. At this stage, it can also be beneficial to see how other cosplayers cosplayed the character you want to be. That way you can see their takes on it, see if you like how it actually looks on someone, and you can also draw inspiration from changes they made, or perhaps their lighting or background setup for the photos. Just make sure not to blatantly copy someone. Step number 3 is to pick a method. There are many ways to put a cosplay together. You can buy them pre-made online, you can commission someone to make them for you, you can physically sew or create them yourself, you can piece them together from existing pieces in your closet, you can buy a cosplay and alter it to your needs, or any mixture of these methods. Buying cosplays pre-made or commissioning someone to make them for you is the simplest on your part and doesn't require much of a skill set at all. However, it can get pretty costly, and it can also be kind of time consuming because you have to wait for them to create it, which can take a few weeks. And if it's coming from a faraway place, you have to wait for it to ship and get to you. Especially if the cosplays are pre-made, you also run the risk of them not fitting you properly and you having to return one and get another size. I bought Aunt Kamiki's cosplay suit pre-made online, and it worked out well. It was a little baggy in some parts, but overall I paid like $60 for it, and her outfit was pretty complicated, so I wasn't about to make it. So that worked out great for me. I also commissioned someone to make a cosplay before. I got someone to make my Makoto Nijima bodysuit off of Etsy. That one definitely fits a little better, but it was like $100 extra. Doing what you have with your closet, or maybe siblings and family members' closets, or even friends' closets, just asking around what they have, is definitely the most cost effective, and you'd be surprised how far you can get with your existing pieces of clothing as long as you're creative. The only downside is sometimes no one will have exactly what you're looking for, and so you might have to sacrifice a little bit of accuracy if that's something you care about. I did this with the D&D OC of mine named Mellaroo Wintress. I didn't have a particular design in mind for her yet, aside from like her hair, but in terms of clothing, I wasn't sure what she would wear. So I kind of looked in my closet and picked clothes from there, and I was able to get something pretty wintry and sparkly that I was still happy with. So especially if it's an OC who you might not have a concrete outfit in mind for, this can be an exceptional method, and it was completely free for me to do. If you don't have what you need but buying a pre-made cosplay is too expensive, a lot of thrift stores may have pieces similar to what you need. And that way, it's kind of beneficial because you won't be shelling out a lot of money for a cosplay which you might only wear once or a few times. It's also totally an option to use mostly what you have at home and then just buy a piece here or there. I did this for Sylvestis. I already had the shoes and the skirt, but I needed a cloak and a more like fantasy, old-timey style shirt, so I had to go buy those because no one in my family had a cloak I could just borrow. But still, only buying what I needed definitely saved me a lot of money. A lot of people also buy pre-made cosplays but then alter it or add or upgrade some parts so it fits them better and looks a little bit more quality. This is a good option for people wanting to learn to sew or practice making things on their own without needing to make the entire thing from scratch. But of course, you can always create a cosplay yourself. I can't speak much to this yet, as I either buy or like piece together my cosplays from things I already own, but I am hoping to learn more about it down the line because ideally I do want to sew and create my own cosplays. So hopefully once I learn that, I can give you more advice about that in the future, but in the meantime, there are plenty of other cosplayers and tutorials all over YouTube that you can look at. Step number 4 is to decide the components. Finally, an easy breezy beautiful step. Depending on how many things you come up with for this step, it might actually inform you what method you want to use to create or buy your cosplay. So this and the previous step might get mixed around a little bit, and that's totally okay. Either way, now is the time to figure out what exactly it is you need for your cosplay. If you're interested in wearing a wig or contacts, be sure to note that down. Be sure to also break down whatever outfit it is into parts. If it's a bodysuit, write down the bodysuit. If it's a shirt and pants and a cloak, write down each piece. If they have special earrings, write those down. If you need makeup that you don't already own for it, be sure to write down what makeup you need. Anything you need, write it down. Even if it's things that you already own, for example, if they have a white shirt and you own a white shirt, Write white shirt down just so you can keep track of it, even if you just immediately check it off and write down have in my closet or whatever. This will just help you stay on track and make sure you know what exactly pieces you need, what pieces you have, what you still need to find. Step 5 is to find the components. Now that you know what you need, the time has come for you to find each piece, including things like makeup and contacts. Where you get your item from is crucial, so be sure to take your time with it. Compare prices and multiple sites and stores. If you're buying something or commissioning someone, always read reviews. They are your best friend, and picture reviews are even better. I don't buy things without reviews, and sometimes I don't buy things without picture reviews if I'm a little bit skeptical of its potential quality. Also, if you're buying something from a thrift shop or otherwise in-person store, be sure to try it on if at all possible. If you're buying online, always look at size charts, don't just guess, because some companies' sizes don't always line up. And it can also be helpful to read reviews and see. A lot of people often list their height and weight and the size they got and then explain how it felt on them, so be sure to also compare the reviews with the size chart and your own size. And also, pay attention to shipping times. This goes double if you need your cosplay for a specific time or event. Sometimes it can take months for cosplays to go from when you order it to arriving at your front door. So if you're on a bit of a time crunch, you have to pay attention to this, or you might have to wind up paying a ton of money for expedited shipping, and some cosplays just might not even be an option anymore if they can't get you in time. I can't speak for a lot of places. I get most of my pre-made cosplays from Miko Costumes. This one is not for anything specific. I actually got this from Target and I'm kind of loving it. I also got a steampunk dress from Spirit Halloween that was pretty good, but this one and the one from Spirit Halloween are just like general ones, but going for like character specific actual cosplays versus like Halloween costumes, yeah, I go to Miko Costumes and I've been pretty happy with what I've received so far. It's not the most quality, but they all look pretty nice. They overall fit pretty well, and they just tend to have it cheaper than like anywhere else I've looked. I also get a lot of cosplay pieces off of Etsy sellers. They're often more expensive, but they're usually higher quality. A lot of them make them to your exact sizing. You can message them if you have any specific concerns, and it's just nicer to support small businesses when you can. Be extra careful if you're ordering something like colored contacts. While buying a cheap cosplay shirt might just be like scratchy and uncomfortable, cheap contacts can damage your eyes. I don't mean to scare you, because colored contacts are actually like my favorite parts of cosplays now, but it's not something that you want to mess with. If a contact site doesn't ask for your prescription, don't buy from them. And if you have any doubts, consult your eye doctor. I use Pinky Paradise for my contacts now, and I've been pretty happy with them, so if you're looking for a site, I recommend them. As for makeup, I usually just use drugstore makeup and it gets the job done. For wigs, I kind of get them all over the place, to be honest. I've heard Arta wigs and Gothic Lolita wigs are good, but I've never bought from them personally, so I can't really speak to it. I have heard that they can get a little more on the expensive side, but I imagine that's because they're pretty quality. If that's the case, you can totally use Amazon or another site to get wigs from. Just be extra careful to read reviews and look at pictures, because I've heard with sites like Amazon, it can really be hit or miss. I haven't gotten an Amazon wig before. I've seen people who have gotten pretty quality, nice, cheap Amazon wigs. I think my little sister got an Amazon wig, and while the wig itself was nice, the character has a fringe going one way, but then it came going the other way, and she had to like try and move it over, so it can really be hit or miss. Definitely don't order one if it has no reviews, but if it has reviews and people are saying it's pretty good and you're looking at the pictures and they look fine, then you can go for it, because I've heard there's some gems on there. I've got this wig. It's an Aunt Kamiki wig. I just put on only one of the, she's supposed to have like pigtails, but I just put on one to have a nice ponytail. I really like this wig. I got it from Cosplay Buzz, and I'm ordering more wigs from there soon, so I hear character specific wigs aren't very good. In my experience with that though, I kind of disagree, because if I have a character and they don't just have like general like straight blonde hair, I'll look up like Aunt Kamiki. I looked up Aunt Kamiki wig and this came up and I love it a lot. For Makoto, I looked up Makoto Nijima wig and one came up and it worked great. I think that's also because I really take my time comparing multiple sites and looking at all the pictures to make sure I get a good one. I don't just click on the first link and I'm like, yeah, there we go. I also actually got a wig through Hot Topic. I think the company Hot Topic uses is Epic Cosplay. It was a little bit shiny, but overall I was pretty happy with the quality. I think for the most part, it's just making sure you're organized and really taking your time with comparing. I get overwhelmed with a bunch of tabs open and it gets a little difficult to manage. So I usually have a Google Doc where I just plop everything. What I do is I'll have like a wigs heading, and then I'll look up onto Comic Wig and pull up a bunch of sites that have wigs that look good. I'll copy and paste the link and plop it under the wigs heading in my Google Doc so I can come back and review them later. Then when I've found enough, I'll go back through them, open up all the wigs, and really take my time comparing and contrasting prices and photos and reviews and shipping times and everything. It helps me to have a lot of options at first, then whittle them down from there. That's how I make sure I get the best of the best. Step number 6. Getting into your cosplay. I think I will probably make a full video later down the line on how to put on wig caps and wigs and ears and contacts, but for now I will just give a brief crash course here. First of all, I recommend putting on part of your cosplay if you have to wind up pulling it over your head. For Sylvestis, she has a white shirt that doesn't have a zipper or anything, so I have to pull it up over my head. I put that shirt on first and then I do my makeup instead of putting my makeup on and then the shirt, so I don't get any of my makeup on the shirt. However, the shirt is white, so I don't want to spill makeup on it either. So what I do is I put on like a jacket that I'm more okay with potentially staining, and I put it on over the shirt and then I just take it off at the end. After that, I'll put on my base makeup and then I'll put on my contacts and then I'll do my eye makeup. It's recommended that you put your contacts in before your eye makeup, partially for safety reasons so you don't get like makeup on the contact and then put it in your eye and then from my experience, putting on contacts can sometimes make your eyes water, and so if you have eye makeup on, it can smudge it and get it all nasty, which is so sad. As for wigs, I highly recommend putting on a wig cap before putting your wig on. That way you can sort of collect all your hair and it's way less likely to just, well, I mean, you can see it there, but it's way less likely to spill out all over the place. I know some people also collect their hair and then braid it and pin it to their head and then put on a wig cap. That way it's as flat as possible. Because sometimes if you just bunch your hair up and shove it in a wig cap, there can be like a weird bump on the wig from where your hair is collected underneath the wig. Fortunately for me, I have short hair, so I just have to plop it in a tiny little baby ponytail and it's usually good. But for people with longer hair, that's something I recommend, at least if you're going to like a con or something where you're wearing it a lot longer. But now that you have and are in the cosplay, it is time for the final step. Step number 7 is to show it off. While it's totally fine to just cosplay completely for yourself, part of the fun is in connecting with the community. You can do anything as major as getting a professional photographer to take photos of you and selling prints to people, or anything as casual as taking some mirror selfies and sending it to your friends. If you want some nice photos, here's some quick tips for you too. For one thing, this is a good opportunity to use any key character poses that you discovered during stage 2, the research step. Lighting is also very important, but if you don't have any actual lights, natural light is your best friend. Also, don't slouch unless it's in character, and try to pose in ways that will show off key parts of your cosplay. So this has like fancy sleeves, so I might pose something with my arm out and it's flowing. Just anything that will highlight important parts versus keeping to yourself and sort of covering it up. You can also cosplay in person at conventions or even potentially places like Disneyland or Renaissance fairs. And of course, you can show them off online. TikTok, Instagram, and Discord are great places for nerds to go, but I'm positive there's probably groups on like Facebook, Snapchat, I don't know, MySpace. Anywhere there's social media, I'm certain there's a group of cosplayers on there. But if you're posting your cosplay on social media and connecting with other cosplayers, just remember not to get too caught up in the numbers and the followers. Don't be worried about doing it perfectly or living up to professional standards. It's just a way for you to show that you love the character. I know that was a lot of information, but if you have any questions, don't hesitate to let me know in the comments. I will try my best to answer them, and I might even make a whole other video dedicated to the question if I find it's relevant. I also have more videos linked in the description from other YouTubers of beginner cosplay tips and cosplay questions, and I've even linked a cosplay channel that has a lot of tutorials on how to make cosplays, and especially foam pieces and props and things like that. So if you're interested in learning more, be sure to check that out. On this channel, I make a lot of cosplay and Dungeons and Dragons related videos, along with various assorted nerdy things. So if you're interested in that sort of stuff, be sure to subscribe and turn on that bell notification. I post videos every other week. And I also have an Instagram page at wow__Mel that you can connect with me there. Thank you so much for watching. Have a beautiful day, my precious everyone, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye! However, it can get really cosplay. I hope it's cosplay. However, it can get pretty cosplay